Sapta Sagaradaache Ello Side A ended with the lyrical love story of Manu and Priya, crushing onto the randomness of real life. Side B picks up from there, to track the lives of our beloved couple now, to explore how much they have changed, if at all. It is 2021. The entire world has gone through an unprecedented crisis as Manu is finally released from prison. The cassette player and tapes of Priya's voice recordings are still his constant companion, his go-to shelter, or perhaps the shackles which does not let him move on. At least that is what Prakasha, his friend from the prison, believes, who is helping Manu settle into a new life. And here's where director Hemanth Rao finds his core point of exploration for this sequel. If Side A was about the passion between the couple without any heightened effect, Side B deals with the idea of moving on and how Manu and Priya, being different individuals as they are, negotiate with this difficult aspect of being in love. Manu wants to meet Priya one last time before settling down to a new life. Perhaps the biggest testament against the idea of moving on for anyone in love. He realizes that well and hardly defends his action when countered by his well-wishers. And yet, he is looking for Priya at every corner of his world. While the physical intimacy between the two is evident in Side A, Hemanth never went on to peep into that side of their relationship in the previous film. In Side B, there's this beautiful idea of when you lose a partner, the craving to get back is both at an emotional and physical level. And it is his physical needs that takes Manu to Surabhi, a sex worker. The initial sequences between Manu and Surabhi are pure gold, a bittersweet portrayal of what love is. There's Manu desperately looking for vibes of Priya within Surabhi, Kathe as Priya called him for a reason. Perhaps a kind of moving on. So many of us surrender to, where an odd habit of our lost love, a smell from the past that you can find in someone new, becomes that one support to cling on to, that carries you along. Can you sing? Is the first question that Manu has for Surabhi as they meet. And then the sequence where a blurred Surabhi sings in the background as we watch Manu, holding on to himself on the verge of breakdown, advocates how love works. How old flames help you connect new lights which have their own shadow to deal with. There's Surabhi, who has never experienced such vulnerabilities in a man in her profession. For Manu, she might be an outline of Priya that he tries to hold on to. But for her, it is a man who lifts her from the ground on their first day. Someone who has asked her to sing. Someone who cares for her likings. Two broken human beings trying to grab onto silhouettes is what this relationship is about. And that is what is so many of the relationships about in the real world once you have lost your first love. So mannequins crowd in Hemanth Rao's frames. And in one sequence, we finally find Priya emerging, wearing a mask from within those frozen mannequins. Priya too has moved on, more like a surrender to fate as it takes her to new journeys, of being a wife to a new man, a mother to a child, and a householder who needs to stitch her family together on the face of the economic crisis that the pandemic has caused. Your heart sinks when we watch together with Manu how Priya is leading a life drastically different to what she always dreamt about. Her past thoughts and wishes are contrasted against her present realities. As Manu coils in pain, so do we. Hemanth and co-writer Gundu Shetty deliberately do not include any sequence that clearly suggest how much Priya is missing her past or how much she still loves Manu. Perhaps these are thoughts which she hides from herself as well, her own way of dealing with the tragedy. Again, another not so unique approach of moving on that so many of us take. The nonchalant aura that made us fall in love with Priya in Side A continues in Side B, but on the other side of hope and ambition this time. Manu watches Priya doing her household chores from the window of a broken railway compartment nearby. You are reminded of that scene where the couple had visited a room by the railway lines and discarded it, joking about living there would give them sleepless nights. And here's where fate has brought them down, on either side of the railway track, where one is not even aware of the presence of the other. And do they sleep? Perhaps Priya does, and Manu doesn't, being the contrasting characters they are, but yet not so different on where they stand each morning, in their own pursuits of moving on. In one particular scene, Surabhi buys a wall clock and later wonders if it looks fine. Manu suggests that it is good enough as long as the clock ticks. Sapta Sagaradaache Ello Side B is all about that, of how life becomes an obligation to carry on for people who have lost real love. Charan Raj's music establishes this entire mood of pain and pessimism. He was wonderful in Side A, but in Side B, it is a different level altogether. A virtual voiceover of the struggles of the three characters we see, starting from the rendition of a much darker title track to recurring theme music for Manu's lookout into Priya's new life to the action set pieces in the second half. Charan Raj's music holds the narrative together. Camera work by Advaita Gurumurthy also captures the mood of the film beautifully, particularly in sections where the screenplay brings in surrealist elements. There is a superb action sequence near the end of the film which reminds of the static long take of the corridor fight in Old Boy. The anger, frustration, and pain inside Manu needed a vent off some way, and this sequence provides that much needed release. With the mainstream ambitions of Sapta Sagaradaache Ello anyway set out with, it brings in multiple plot points of wish fulfillment, bringing back characters of Achyut Kumar and Ramesh Indira from Side A. They lack proper arcs or closures perhaps, but never at the cost of falling out of place from the core of the film. And when it comes to this score, there's no compromise from Hemanth and team. No wish fulfillments that works in dreams as the story moves towards expected roots rooted into blunt realities. Singer Chaithra Achar as the new character in this world is brilliant. Once again a fiery performance after Toby that adds a third layer to this love story, a kind of antithesis to Rukmini Vasant's Priya, and when Manu finds shelter in her, you wonder how complex and confusing the nature of love and affection can be. J.P. Thuminad as Priya's husband Deepak also provides a solid performance. Again, a clear contrasting character to Manu, whom Priya has settled with now. But in that beautiful sequence in the bar, where Manu realizes how Deepak has his own shares of losses and heartbreaks, it brings both men together in pain. And we wonder how there's other seas to explore if we would have followed Deepak's story from the start. Rukmini Vasant, who amazed us in Side A, is more subdued in Side B, surrendering to the needs of the script and yet makes her presence felt in all frames, like the driving force behind the story. And then, this installment belongs to Rakshit Shetty, the man who once more breaks down his image in a unique blend of mass and class act. Rakshit gives his all in the making of Manu, a lesson for stars of what commitment stands to be. By the end of it, Manu finally walks into the sphere of freedom which he was seeking for long, to the end of his tunnel. You remember how Priya used to linger on her last glances at Manu before leaving from the prison meeting point. As you watch Manu fading away, carrying Priya, Surabhi, and everyone else inside him, to the sea of freedom and peace, reminding us of that field of Rumi that exists outside the ideas of wrong and right. Perhaps there is where he'll be waiting for Priya. Perhaps they will meet. Surely, they will meet. Well, that is all from us today. Thank you for watching.